copy. And as far as finding your spots, right? Like, where should I go? Should it be Twitter? Should it be Facebook? Or should it be the Penny Saver? Should it be, the Post Gazette? I would start by saying, don't be afraid just to use common sense, right? You already have customers. You've already talked to people. You already have some model of why you think this is a good business idea. I don't think it's a bad plan for you to trust your gut, just as long as you don't bet the house on it. Study your competition. This is really important. Not just because you want to like, I'm not saying you want to steal from them. I am saying that you need to know, who do they think they're trying to reach? Where do they think they can find those people? Where are they not spending time is also important. I got chat window. Let's see if we got questions. What have you found most useful so far?
Victoria had a question, Scott. It was, what type of products and services best lend themselves to sales repless marketing?
Okay, so I'm going to give you two layers to that. The first one is, if you're in a business that does not require customization, then in a lot of cases, something that goes without a sales rep can be, at least part of your product set can be automated with a self-service window that goes through your website. A lot of times that can happen. But that feels like the easy answer, so I'm going to give you the second layer, which is a little bit harder, which is also, if you can do enough education that customization can be done with a questionnaire format. I'll give you a perfect example. When you buy men's pants and shoes in the US, for the most part, those sizes are standardized. You know that they're going to go by the waistband, they're going to go by the inseam, the shoe size is US size and then a number. Those are the types of customizations that the public is educated well enough that they can actually see their way through. It starts to get a little bit different when you start talking about things where you need to have an understanding that maybe the layperson can't be expected to sit through. I don't want to necessarily get a college degree to learn how to buy a thing. That's where your breaking point is. In terms of the slides being shared, I'm more than happy to share the slides. That's no problem. Ryan asks, how do you know that your copy is working when you are testing it in one of the 3 ways that you suggested? So with copy working, I'm going to, again, give you the easy answer and then the more, the slightly deeper answer. This always needs to come back to sales-driven metrics. Dollars in the till, people calling or email, just like plain activity kinds of things. But then the second answer is, do not make the mistake of counting metrics that don't fall into that category. So if 10,000 people saw your ad, that's not a metric that's useful. If 100 people clicked it, but nobody did anything, you're getting warmer, but for some reason the copy within the link isn't where you needed to be to close the deal. So, especially given the context of this conversation today, where we're saying pandemic, COVID, quick change, desperate to actually start the revenue pump on again, there's a part of me that wants to really drill down that we have to be at absolute basics in terms of our metrics. If it's not dollars or really close to dollars, I almost think you have to throw it out the window right now. The complexity is not feeling like your best friend right now. Victoria notes in the chat that sales indicators are always better than vanity metrics, but I don't think that people will willingly call their metrics vanity metrics, which are like the stats that make you look good. Most people agree with what Victoria has written, but fall short of calling their chosen number a vanity metric. So, and she points out, like, a like on Facebook is a vanity metric because I can't eat it. I can't trade it for food. It's not useful, right? it's great because, we all love those things. But it's not really making something happen. What are some great points to include in your top of funnel language is the question from Paul. Calls to actions, scarcity, things like that. Paul, what an excellent preview that is of a module that's coming very soon. You are a gentleman and a scholar, sir. Let's break through the rest of this finding your spot bit. Influence. Now, super big, all capitals, do not pay influencers, period. Do not pay go, do not collect $200. You will not ever get anything done, especially in the context of a pandemic, by finding an Instagram influencer or someone like that. But all of that notwithstanding, trust is still a thing. Restaurants love reviews from reputable news sources because they drive people to their restaurant, and that is no joke. You cannot get around that. That's dollars, and that formula has proven itself over decades. Whoever that person recommends, whether it's the reviewer on the postgazette.com, or maybe the person that runs that parenting blog we were talking about on an earlier example, influence is important, and finding a place to sort of get to that person is worth a few minutes if you can spare it. Statistics are key if you're talking about your Facebooks, your Twitters, your whatnot. If you're talking about doing advertising, like real proper call, the newspaper and place something in there, your mileage may vary, costs are going to be higher, but what I want you to do is think about the stats. Look at the media kit that you can get from any of these different sources, even if you have no interest in advertising with them, because it helps them and you to come to a mutual understanding of what these data points are. So I'm just going to riff right now and assume that the Post-Gazette is going to tell me about how many readers they have. Why? Because they have more than almost anybody. It's a metric that makes them look really good. What I may not get from their media kit is how many of those people actually click through on their website. And I'm not trying to kick dirt on the Post-Gazette. For all I know, they have great results. My point is that understanding the verbiage of audience selection and understanding the counts and the numbers and whatnot is every bit as important to your journey as anything else. You can't just go on feels like we'll make money on Instagram. Tell me how many people you reached. It feels like we'll be able to get a lot of clicks if we put an ad in front of everybody that follows our competitor, right? Okay, great. But how many people is that? Because if they have 25 followers, you just wasted your afternoon. Stats, at least as a vocabulary, are very important, and they will help you find your spots. The caveat of all caveats. Just because you reach me one time doesn't mean I'm going to click. And just because I didn't click the first time doesn't mean I hate you. I mean, let's be super clear. I still might. But it won't be because, well, I didn't click on that ad, so that must mean this isn't a good fit. Salesforce is a recognizer in basically everything that has to do with Salesforce automation, with data automation, with marketing, track, all these kinds of things. No less of an expert than the Salesforce.com team says. You have to literally touch, they call it, reach through an ad or an email or a placement or whatever, 6 to 8 times, not to close a deal. Notice this word does not say close a lead. It says qualify a lead. This means actually make them and you both agree that this could be worth exploring. Closing comes later. It's usually another 6 to 13 to close. So, exposure to a single version of your story, a single placement, a single video that you did is almost never enough. And the sooner you internalize that, the more money you will make. Because what a lot of people do after they take this deck or a deck that I give that's like it is they get everybody to know the name one time, and then they sit back and they wait for the clicks and the money to come in, and it doesn't come. And if you want to know why, let's go back to one of our examples. We were talking about the pool company. If you were going to buy a pool right now, stop and think. Everybody right now, think of a name that you could buy a pool from. Okay, now I come to you and I'm from MacTaggart Pools. And I'm not going to lie to you, that's a pretty great name. But you've never heard of it. And for all you know, we suck at pools. There's a way that the human brain is wired. It is a cognitive bias. It is a failing in the way that we are constructed. It is called the mere exposure effect. And literally, the lay explanation of this, the easy, simple explanation is, if you've heard of a thing, you think it's better than a thing you haven't heard of. I think McDonald's is better than ABC Burger because I've never heard of ABC Burger. It could be amazing. But my brain is wired to believe that McDonald's is better, and there's nothing I can do about it. So to qualify a lead, you've got to hit that thing 6 to 8 times. You've got to make sure that they hear your story, they connect you with the product, they connect you with the story you're trying to say. They go, oh, MacTaggart, they're the ones that said that they have good testimonials and they do fast installs. If you ever wonder why Edgar Snyder or any of these people do the same ad for 30 years, it's because it works. Okay? This does not need to be brain surgery. All right, question comes in. Is it better to start with a wider net when doing research on who your customer is and what they need during a time that is disruptive like now? It seems like there may be new or emerging opportunities that would involve you interacting with customers that you might not have engaged with, or a service that you might not have, that may not have been as valuable pre-COVID. Boy, there is a hell of a lot of question there. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, it is a good question. Somebody just in the chat said that's a great question. I'm going to take that in pieces. The first part is, wide nets make me nervous in general because a wide net means a lack of targeting, right? So in other words, it takes me a longer time to sort of get through to that person because I don't know necessarily if they fit, right? Conventional wisdom in a time like this is sell what you know and strip down the menu, right? And if you've done a drive-through lately, like if you go to, I don't know, McDonald's, speaking of a brand that we've already mentioned, right? They're running on a bare bones menu, right? Because they know they're going to sell you burgers and it's not really too important that it's a super complicated menu, right? And there's a lot that goes into product. You have to ship it, you have to build it, you have to price it, you have to make it, you have to prepare it, you have to QA it, you have to have customer satisfaction. There's so many different people. My friend John owns a consulting firm and he says there's 28 different functions that any business has to perform on any given day, right? You know, between just selling, managing, accounting, HR, legal, counting the money, you know, whatever. More options is typically bad in an environment like this. But just because it's the conventional wisdom does not make it right. And that's the second part of my answer here. I would turn to something non-traditional if a customer specifically asked for it. And if you suspect that it might be an avenue for you, then I would start doing interviews with existing customers or prospective customers, people that you think are right on the bubble. But it is very dicey to launch a new product at a time when everybody is ratcheting down for a completely different reason that I don't want to spend too much time on. But basically, new products cost more at the front end. It's not until you've made a few million of a thing that you optimize its cost. Once you've got that sort of Henry Ford assembly line cranked all the way up, now you can do it at the same efficiency that you do your other products. So, long-winded. I am very reluctant to tell people try something new unless your customers are asking for it. I mean specifically asking for it. But I can see a lot of situations where you're adjacent to the thing that they might need. From there, we start talking about our direct outreach. This is a little bit, I tried to shave this down and streamline it so that we don't have like an advertising section and a, email blasts, cold calling, whatever section. So I put all of this under one heading and I called it direct outreach. With the idea that I think of advertising and a lot of the sort of more passive moves as less sweat, passive income, basically just, I'm going to hand the TV channel $100,000, have them run my ads, sit back and wait for people to come to the website. That's basically like, dust off your hands. It's an automated process. When I say direct outreach, what I'm saying is what I expect a lot of you are going to have to do, which is grab somebody and tell them, hey, I've got a thing that's good for you. And I realize that this is fraught with a lot of questions. And I think a lot of the questions you probably brought into today are in this section. So let's start here. Necessary data. This slide is like one of the main reasons I want to share the deck with anybody that wants it. Because there's a lot here. So you can find the necessary data a lot of different places. One of the things that I like is, sort of organizing by cost and value and those kinds of things. And that's kind of the way in which I looked at all of this. So you can use a lead service. They're pretty expensive, but if you're selling to businesses and you can kind of, be sure of the quality of the data, be sure that this is what you want to do. You could save a lot of time, and if it's paid for as part of your cost of sales, then, definitely at least know why you decided to use them or not use them. Geographic data, I'm a huge fan of owning your backyard, especially at a time like this, like we said, when, costs are a little bit hard to predict and, you're a little bit worried about the future. I'm going to tell you this. I don't want to get too deep into it on this presentation, but if you just type a zip code and punch it into wolframalpha.com, you will get a bunch of information about that zip code. It'll literally spit out a gorgeous amount that tells you, consumers in this area tend to make this much money. They have this ethnic background. They have this ownership versus rental ratio. There's this many total people. Wolfram Alpha is a search engine basically, but it's imbued with all this special, machine learning magic. SBDCnet.org is your small business development centers. If you are a small business and you're not working with the SBDC, I cannot recommend this enough for this task in particular, because the SBDC has all kinds of software subscriptions and geospatial data that could be cross-referenced against other things. And you can say like, look, I really want to know this. And they'll come back and they'll say, here's all your competitors in the area that you're playing in. And they'll map them for you. I'll tell you what. And this is all free. SBC, there's one at Duquesne, there's one at Pitt, there's one at a lot of different universities. And their mandate is to service small businesses. They're paid by the Small Business Administration. And this is one of those things that because it's free, it doesn't get as much play because there's a lot of for-pay sources that compete with them. And the federal government really doesn't like to compete with private consultants. Direct mail lists are out there. I'm a giant direct mail nerd, so I apologize if it seems like I'm a dinosaur, yabba dabba do, but don't use them for email. If you buy email lists, you will be blacklisted. You are a spammer. You should feel bad about yourself. This is going to go badly, and it is going to negatively impact your business forever and ever. Amen. But if you want to put a postcard in front of everybody that might order pizza in your place, in your neighborhood, in your town, whatever, this is a really good idea. InfoUSA will sell you lists. Experian.com will sell you lists. And I should have listed this. It only just occurred to me a second ago. You can actually also pay the post office to do what they call every door. So you don't need a mailing list. You just pay them to put like your pizza menu in every mailbox. Sorry, I'm thinking about pizza right now because I'm hungry. Which is pretty much all the time. Social demographics. This is mostly saying like, here's what Here's what kind of person you will find typically on Facebook. Here's what kind of person you will find on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever. I made you guys a Bitly link. Follow that. That's really cool. It's up to the date right now. Bitly/SM demo data, also capitalized. I believe that's from the end of January, and it'll tell you, like, okay, these age groups are on this platform. This is their earnings. This is whatever. So like, okay, if I sell a product that appeals to a person in a certain education band, a certain earnings band, whatever, I can get that information from this. It's literally just like a simple article run by actually a company that tries to sell you social tools. We have a local company called BlastPoint that I like, blastpoint.co. This is going to be on the pricier side, but it'll give you a single screen deep dive where you can actually run your own data. Big fan of those folks. CMU folks, they won Upprize a week ago. But again, this is geospatial data about, the area that you serve or the people that you're looking for. And again, you can cross-reference things. So you can say, like, I want to see how many people in 15210 own their home and have children living with them. And then based on the answers to that, you can make decisions about how much effort do you want to spend in the 15210. And last but definitely not the least on this list is your partners. A lot of you are working with other people. You sell somebody else's product. You have somebody else as a sales agent. There's different ways that this works, but frankly, a lot of these resources can and should be shared. And I don't know why it doesn't occur to us to just ask. Like, somebody usually gets the wild idea, goes, hey, can you share with me like the data off your website so I know who goes there? Can you share with me like how many sales you did in my neck of the woods? This is an entirely legitimate question, and you should definitely get in the habit of asking it. All right, now we're going to speed this thing up. Once you've got your message, stick to it. All these different data sources, all this advertising, outreach, all this stuff that we were just doing, okay, goes painfully friggin' slow if you try to change it every time because you're the original hipster and you don't like saying the same thing over and over again, right? Unless there's a problem with your message, stick with it. It's the whole reason you spend all that time working on it up front. Automate, okay? You don't need to be a code genius to put a chatbot on your website. If you need a chatbot, hit me up and I will connect you with people that will put you there. Okay, it's not hard to do, but it's a good idea. Getting back to Victoria's question earlier about the sales rep, the environment that doesn't have a sales rep in it. A chatbot a lot of times can be set up to answer the 7 questions you get from everybody. What are your hours? How fast can you be here? Are you still open during COVID? Right? You're going to get a lot of the same questions. And just because you get those questions does not mean that you should all of a sudden decide that sales reps are a model for you now. Email services, easily automated. Landing pages, the whole works, right? Everybody knows MailChimp. There is a more expensive one called Constant Contact, which I have used. I don't know that I necessarily have ever recommended that to small businesses, but it's out there. I like a small company called Mooseend, just like it sounds. There's a cow as a logo. I don't know. Apparently cows and mail go together. And there's one I use. This is a secret recipe I am sharing with you guys. I don't tell anybody about this. But I use Mailshake for the ones that are more, they need the appearance of coming directly from me, right? Mailshake is nice because it gives me sort of that very quick, but still looks like it came from an individual as opposed to a service. And again, my goal in using these is to cover more ground, which I cannot stress enough. Time is your biggest enemy in a time like this. The reason we're doing as much targeting, the reason we're simplifying our message is because nobody has the time to screw around. All right, I'm going to jump to the chat real quick. Oh, yes, Paul makes a good point. I don't know how they pronounce it, Klaviyo, K-L-A-V-I-O. My friend Rachel uses that and is very, very happy with it. I've never used it before, so I didn't want to necessarily claim it, but yeah, Paul makes a good point there. Klaviyo is the beast for automations and flows. It's powerful. That's cool. Paul, can you do me a favor and give me a sense of what the pricing on Klaviyo is while we're talking about it?
Yeah, I'm going to unmute myself. I think I got two PCs running. Sorry.
That's okay. You sound like a golden god atop Mount Olympus, and I'm here for
well, I use Klaviyo is about $150 a month, up to about 6,000 or 8,000 people in your list. It's expensive, but it's very automated and create literally flows that are prompted.
No, I'm definitely going to check that out, and I appreciate you volunteering that for everybody. Yeah, it's seriously the second time in the last 2 days I've seen it. TJ says, is it worth it to emphasize product differentiation like XYZ clothing is made in the USA and is 100% organic cotton? I 100% believe it is. Yes, TJ. 100% think. With a caveat, only if your customers care about it. If they don't care, then you're wasting your breath. You make good points about like it's made in the USA, it's 100% cotton, that sort of a thing. But if that's not their thing, then remember, you're here to serve them. You're Winston Wolfe. You're Mighty Mick. All right. The last one is ask for referrals. I know that this is the oldest school thing, and like I have now gone full yabba dabba do, but frankly, the old tools work best. The people that already like you are likely to be hanging out with people who will also like you. But unless you put the idea in their head that that's possible, it may not ever bubble up in time for you to actually get something to happen with it. Ron asks, are built-in widgets and the newsletter plugin sufficient for the automation features? Boy, that depends, doesn't it? It depends on your business. I love the built-in widgets. I really do, especially for, again, when you have those like basic questions and those kinds of things. And yeah, I'm a big fan of newsletter plugins. But to sort of tie back to how we got on automation in the first place, my statement is just, again, focus on your time as the single most valuable resource that you have access to, period, end of story. It's not your money. I don't care what anyone says. Your money is not your most valuable resource. It's your time. If you can save time with another widget and it literally gets your message in front of more faces so that they can make more yes-no decisions, then I'm 100% on board. All right. But Scott, outreach sucks and everyone's going to hate me. Okay? Everyone who has ever been in outreach has felt this. Here's the problem. That's actually not true. This part, I'm really proud to be able to give you. We put a lot of work into this. I spent a lot of time sort of digging through sentiment. Now, I apologize. There's one part of this. If you're a B2C, business to consumer customer, or a business rather, you are not going to take as much out of this as maybe some of the B2B folks will. I don't know how far the consumers will stray from this, but I was surprised by these results. So our survey tells us this. We had a question where we just said, a sales rep has a great idea to help your company at the right price. Are you going to listen? How likely are you that you're going to listen to that sales rep, right? It's a basic question about trying to figure out, is someone open to a sales approach, right? Is someone open to that email blasts that they're going to get, right? They scored themselves at the same time. So in other words, they gave two scores, during COVID and before COVID, and these were the results of that. During the COVID pandemic period, and this has been going on like, let's say the last 2-3 weeks, right? The largest group of people rated themselves as 4 out of 5, meaning very likely to accept a sales approach. And I'm not going to take a survey right now, but I guarantee you that's not what you all would have said the survey was going to say. We all are carrying this doubt, I think, about like, we feel like we're bothering them. We feel like it's, oh, they've got to run their business. They're worried about other things. They're worried about how they're going to make payroll. And part of that is us projecting our thing on them, right? The largest group of people rated themselves at 4 out of 5. Yes, sell to me. The same people answered the same question 3 out of 5 for before the lockdown and pandemic. So translating that into English, they all became more likely now to listen to a sales rep than they were before we were locked down. And when you feel like you shouldn't be doing this, or you doubt that your message will be well received, I want you to remember this slide. There are going to be some people that just are like very, very offended. I can't help that. But I can tell you that by the numbers, people are not offended by you doing your job. By the way, all the other scores across the 0 to 5 stayed basically the same. The only thing that moved was the 3s became 4s. Question 5 was, if a rep contacts you today, which reactions will you have? Okay. And again, this is assuming LinkedIn blasts, email blasts, those kinds of things that are like direct outreach, get your message out to 1 million people, right? 48% agreed with the statement, this person is just doing a job and it's not a problem. 22% agreed with, I don't know enough about the future to buy things. So basically a fifth of people were like, look, I'm not going to be able to say yes because I don't know what tomorrow holds. 18% said, I like speaking with sales reps, which I'm not going to lie to you. There's no way I ever would have thought that number was going to be that high. 13 said, I hate dealing with sales reps. And then a really funny, interesting, there was a tie ball game between it's inappropriate to market and sell right now, and I welcome the distraction because nothing's going on. Like I found that, like equal representation between those two sentiments really funny, but mostly just because I'm weird and this is what I do for a living. But my takeaways here were, you need to power through again. Like, you need to get that outreach done because they don't mind you doing it. And it is your business. The one thing, and Victoria, I'm going to out you. I know you sent this to me privately, but I'm going to say it publicly, which was the one thing that would have been very interesting to know, which I didn't know how to structure as a question across all industries, was, are they more likely to buy? It's too hard to know because I think a lot of times it depends on the priority and the potentiality conversation, which you can't know unless you know the industry. But they are more willing to listen. And I will add to that last line on this slide where it says, I welcome the distraction because nothing else is going on. Those are your time wasters. Those are the people that are taking an outreach as entertainment, basically. Ryan writes, in general from the survey, it seems like a good time to build an audience, but there may be a challenge in converting that audience, but beyond those qualifying touch points. Yes. Looking forward to hearing about converting on Thursday. Yes, 100% agreement, Ryan. This part is about their openness to hear about it. I can't promise that your industry and your product are going to convert, but I could on Thursday talk to you about what tools you would use to increase your batting average. I loved these free-form comments that fell into this category of, I get a lot more sales emails than I did before, but none that actually sound like they can help me anytime soon. And another one that kind of is the same thing. Number of emails coming in with sales pitches is way too many, with most of it being the same old stuff that no longer applies. So what I'm pulling out of both of those quotes is, tell me why this, why now? All of our elements from the first segment where we were building our story are being reinforced by the free-form comments that we're getting in this survey where they say, like, okay, like, help me now. Stop trying to sell me stuff that doesn't apply to me anymore. And it's just, it's nice to see they're listening, and they're listening with intent to purchase, but it's kind of like frustrating that this attention is being wasted on people who don't even know to make a relevant pitch. So, another way of saying that is to say things that express clear value and fix a problem. Punch them right in the face. I can save you money. Don't be cute. Today is not the day for cute. Today is the day for I can save you money. I can make you money. I can help you because I know your vendor is out of business. Simple, clear value that fixes a problem. The watchword right now is don't waste my time. All right. Converting. This is different than what we're going to talk about on Thursday. When I say converting in this context, what I'm really saying is take me to what happens next. This is where you click in the email and you're like, okay, fine. I'll read the article you asked me to read. Where you go to that sign up on the website, say, okay, go ahead and start sending me emails. I'll listen. The two words that I think most of you know, but probably do not spend enough time developing, are urgency and call to action. This is a serious problem amongst professional services people. Where are my accountants at? Where are my lawyers at? Those people, I don't mean to paint you with a broad brush, but tend to believe that this is in some way not prestigious and it is beneath you. And that's fine that you think that, but I do think that it is a problem throughout your industry. Because right now, again, if we don't know what the future is, then it'd be really good if we could fill the sales funnel. So my take on it is, if you don't have urgency, if you don't create a proper call to action, you're just hoping. And it seems like you've put a lot of work into your process at this point to just kind of cross your fingers and hope everything turns out okay. I categorize urgency in two ways: internal urgency and external urgency. Internal urgency. Hey, you're hungry. I will totally bring you a pizza. You'll be there in 30 minutes. The cheese is super melty, right? This is me acknowledging your hunger, telling you that your problem exists. I know I can solve it. Your urgency comes from the fact that you're not getting less hungry as time passes. It's not pain, but it is a cause of urgency. External urgency. If you let me make your dinner today, you get a free order of breadsticks and marinara. Today is the operative word. I'm creating urgency by saying today, I'm giving you free breadsticks. I'm giving you something extra. The external, internal, there's not a right way across all industries. But I kind of take the attitude of, why not both? I can say both. If I'm slinging pizzas, I can just as easily point out that you're hungry and tell you that I have a coupon today if you call right now. Doesn't really take me any extra effort to use both. Different example, same idea. There has never been a better time to put new carpet in your office because nobody's there right now. You know it's going to be a hassle if you wait. This is the time. If I'm selling carpet to people who own property, buddy, you need to have that and just be dunking on them all day long. Everybody, all day. Hey, this is the time. I will bet that when you get back and you see that ugly carpet, you're going to be mad that you missed it. External version of that. look, hey, times are hard, our business is slow, we're going to give you a discount. Installation is free if you buy something we have in stock in our warehouse right now. I'm giving you this external sort of carrot, this motivation to do something. And again, when combined with the internal, that you wanted it, I'm just making your decision that much easier. Were you really committed that much? Were you married to the idea of waiting on carpet? Probably not. You just needed somebody to give you a reason to put it on the front burner. And I am more than happy to help you with that, because I sell carpet in this example. All right, calls to action. This first one is going to insult some people's intelligence, but after you've been in the business for a while, you realize that this is where most people fall down. If you don't ask, they can't say yes. And I can't say that enough times to actually have people listen at a rate that I'm satisfied with. You've gone to all the work. We wrote a story, we tailored that story to a specific person, a specific demographic. Then we literally went and found that demographic. We spent time and treasure trying to find those people. We went through all of that, and then we didn't even freaking ask them for the next stage. That is entirely unacceptable. And I think if you look back through the efforts that you've made in marketing and messaging and all those things before, you will find that there were emails you sent that did not have a call to action in it. They did not ask the person to take the next step. You assumed that you could give them room and they'd come back to you. I don't think that's what they want. I think they want this to go as simply as possible. It should be a breeze. So if you put one in every time, that makes it easy on the customer. Because when it comes time to make that decision and say, you know what, you're right, we totally should get that carpet for the office. Are you really going to make me Google your phone number? Time kills all deals. I'm sitting there, I know I need carpet, but you spaced and you forgot to give me an easy way to get in contact with you. So I push away from this table and I go to, I don't know, grab a Diet Pepsi out of the fridge over here. And as I change rooms, I completely forget that I was thinking about carpet. Now you got to get me again. You got to put me on the hook all over again. Use one every time. And if you feel cheesy or stupid doing it, use this as a crutch. This is how you make the perfect customer experience. The customer doesn't want to look for your crap. The customer wants to push a button and have magic happen. They want to be in touch with the carpet guy right now. And then obviously, like anything, track to see what works. You got to do the measuring if you're going to improve. So that is messaging and marketing. If you want to talk, if you want to do more, I've got a mailing list you're more than welcome to jump to that URL. You will get secret weapons for business. Sometimes it's about nerd stuff, and sometimes it's about this kind of thing. I like both of them, and it's my email, so I get to decide. Also, if you want to just send me an email with a specific question, you just want to hit me up straight up, that's my work email. That is honestly the fastest way to get through to me.